You're now listening to The Festival of Football, presented by Billy Harvey and Henry Barrett.
Move on to the final section where we're going to be talking about VAR. Where to start? I mean, firstly, does it work for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's black and white, isn't it? I mean, if it's offside, it's offside, right? That's the premise of it. And let's not forget, fans were calling for this since that Lampard goal against Germany in the World Cup all those years ago. Now you've got it. You don't want it. It's going to be here. It's not going to go away. It's here forever. You're just going to have to accept it. And it works how it works. And as much as I don't like VAR in football because, you know, it doesn't have the same atmosphere when someone scores, but what we're seeing is teams are where they are supposed to be for it. I know there's been some decisions that have gone wrong.
The problem is, Bill, right, and what fans, I think, get annoyed about is it's not black and white. It's not. There's a hell of a lot of grey area, mate. There's a big chunk of grey. And the problem is because the referees are not consistent with it. They're not doing the same, they're not looking at the same particular game as they would if they're doing another game. They're judging it on opinions. And it can't be opinions. It has to be a set thing. So offside, yeah, fine. The offside they've got down to a T. If it's the arm, if it's, even though I don't agree with the sleeve, it's the sleeve, or, you know, a toe, whatever, yeah, it's offside, fair enough. They've got that down. So we all know that that's why you see something of disallowed, because we know that's an official rule. When it comes down to opinion base is where the red card West Ham had the other week, where Balbrina kicked the ball away, he's followed through, he's tread on the guy, red card. VAR looked at it, red card, right? The next day, they did the ref watch thing on Sky Sports, and they were like, it was wrong, he shouldn't have been sent off. So why was he sent off? Because the referees on the day had that opinion, and that's where it's wrong. You can't have a game where the rules are based off opinions, because if that's the case, you're going to get different outcomes. And so that's where, in my opinion, VAR works, but the referees that are handling it don't work.
Yeah, they don't. No, they don't. I think for me, it's very much like the referees are scared. Like how many decisions have we seen this season been actually overturned? Not many. So like the on-field referee is very much, you know, whether something's said between the teams, like, you know, the referees, they've got this pact, you know, I'm the ref, I'll make the decisions. You can check VAR for obvious things, but if it's subjective or I'm going to stick with my decision and you have to back it. And it seems like that happens. Like, I remember I saw an interview, I can't remember what referee it was. Maybe it was like Dermot Gallagher or someone who was a ref years ago. And he was saying the same thing. And he was saying that a lot of the junior referees who are on VAR duty, and say like Mike Dean is the official that day, they're scared to overturn him because someone like that has so much power within the referee's organization that he could ruin their career. Like, you know, if he makes a few mistakes on the pitch and VAR picks up on it, that's all Sky are going to be talking about. Sky or BT, they're going to pick up and go, oh, Mike Dean's made so many mistakes today. As soon as he comes off that pitch, he's going to be phoning that VAR official and being like, what are you doing? Like, you've made me look like an absolute idiot out there. Like, come on. Like, you know, back your own professionals. We get enough stick as it is.
Do you know what? Going back to what you said before about the way referees deal with it and stuff, I saw it's like when you're on social media, you get these video clips come up. And one of them was of an Australian referee, and he was mic'd up and you could hear everything he was saying. So I can't believe it. Something happened in the game. It was, I think, a penalty, and they didn't know what to do. So he's talking to someone in his ear, and I think at the beginning he was talking to VAR. He was talking to his linesmen and stuff, and he goes, after about 2 or 3 minutes, he goes, "Do you know what? I don't know what to do. I'm going to sell it. Should I go to the monitor to sell it?"
Yeah.
Right? That's what he says. Should I go to the monitor to sell it? Then he says, do you know what? Actually, no, I'm going to give it, and then VAR can tell me if it's not a penalty or not, or something like that. It was a penalty or a red card or something. But them words, I'm going to go to the monitor to sell it, when they've don't even know what they're doing. That's why they don't mic him up in the Prem. Could you imagine if Mike Dean's running around like a twat going, oh yeah, ref, I'm a ref, a red card for you being a twat. You know, you've seen videos of Mike Dean where he's like, Mike Dean doesn't like people in his space, and he's just like, get out of my space, get out. Like, talk about the way players speak to refs. Refs probably speak to the players like shit as well. And I don't know. I think the refs need to change, and I think the only way you can change it is by getting ex-players in there where they've, you know, do it in a way where they're not going to be biased. So, like, putting them, you know, I'm using Rio Ferdinand as an example. I'm not suggesting he should do it, but put someone like Rio Ferdinand in the game where he's not going to be influencing the game that can help Man United, for example. So you could put him in a game where it's West Brom, Fulham, right? And he can sit in the VAR room, and then when the referee's looking at it, saying, "Oh, this looks a bit," they go, "Well, as a player, when that used to happen, I noticed this, and it gives the players perspective, because that red card that West Ham received the other week against Chelsea was never a red card, because these referees have never played the game at that level anyway. They don't understand it. It was against physics. Where was he meant to put his foot?
Yeah.
It's just things like that, and I just think, yeah, like VAR is good, and we need it because it's helped clear up so many errors. You know, I mean, technology is not without a fault. You know, as we talked about Sheffield United, Bournemouth game where Bournemouth's goal was given. Was it Sheffield United and Villa?
Yeah.
Where Sheffield United goal wasn't given.
Yeah.
But Villa went over the line, it weren't given, whatever. And yeah, it's not without its faults, but if you've got people running the game that give different opinions based on who the referee is, it's going to be faulty. And then going on to what you said about goal celebrations, like as fans, the goal goes in, but we're like, oh wait, we can't really celebrate. Oh God, oh it is a goal. Oh okay, it's a goal, yeah, and it takes away from that moment. You go, yes, but you can't because of that moment. It's gone.
Yeah, you're right. Like, it ruins it.
I watched Antonio do an interview on Monday Night Football, and he was talking to Thierry Henry and Jamie Carragher and stuff, and he was just saying, like, I don't do my dances anymore because I don't want to be like a fool when I'm celebrating dancing and then I get told it's ruled off because of an ball or something, because of VAR. And it's wrong, man. It takes away from the game. It takes away from everything. So I think personally, you've got to weigh up the pros and cons. If you're going to keep VAR, you need to bring in ex-pros to help. That's going to be hard because of it's biased and all that stuff, so you've got to figure that out. Or you need to weigh up, was it better before VAR, or is it better since VAR? And do a vote. You know, like in any democracy, they do a vote, didn't they, you know, to make it fair. Do that with football fans, football people. Give a vote. Because then people can say, no, I don't want VAR because although we might have had goals given that was offside or whatever else, it wasn't as bad as what VAR is. And it gives people a chance. It gives people a choice. And I think that's what they should do.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, like VAR, it's got its problems, isn't it? But I think the actual technology itself works. It's the human stuff behind it. So like we've mentioned with the referees, and it doesn't matter what you say. Referees still have bias when they go to big teams. Like if you're Fulham and you're playing against Man United at Old Trafford, and there's a slight knock on Rashford in the box, they're just going to check it, and it's going to get given because they're intimidated by actually going to these big clubs. Because Alex Ferguson years ago mentioned that they would intimidate teams in the tunnel. So like Roy Keane would say, like he would know that before the game, we'd won the game because I'd look over at the other team and we knew we had them, sort of thing. And they did it to officials as well. And you can tell, like, it wasn't just intimidating the team, it was intimidating the officials as well, because they knew if they didn't give Fergie like a penalty when it was another penalty, he'd be straight in the dressing room afterwards, calling him all the names under the sun. You're not coming back to ref here again, and all this sort of stuff. And it still goes on now, and you can still see it goes on now. And with VAR, it's worse because you've got then that dynamic between refs that, oh, I can't upset my colleague. I can't go against my senior colleague. I can't do this and I can't do that. It's like at work, isn't it? If one of your senior colleagues makes a mistake, you don't feel like you can pull them up on it because at the end of the day, they might be the person that decides if you stay in your job or not. So it's like, what do you do?
I think that's why they need to get ex-pros in there, mate, because they won't give a crap who the referee is. They'll call them out on it. I mean, they need people like Gary Neville and stuff like that, the ones that opinionated and speak out on things, because until you get them in and you get that sort of regulation in, it's just going to keep getting worse, mate. You know, this handball rule, you know, we spoke about it in the last pod, how Man United got away with the penalty against Villa. It was because it was Man United. Any other team, and I can't believe they checked it and didn't give it. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me, mate. It really doesn't. And I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I think maybe use VAR for offsides, and that's it. Because at the end of the day, you're not changing it anyway. I mean, a referee gives a red card. Oh no, wait a minute. How often do you see? Oh, wait a minute. It's not a red. Take the red away, give a yellow. Or like, how many times do you see a player being, oh, that's a penalty, blows for a penalty? Actually, no way, he dived.
Yeah.
Very rarely. Because even if it's a soft penalty, they give it. I remember a penalty involving Arsenal a few weeks ago where the guy, he barely stepped on the guy's foot, like barely just touched it. The player went down holding his foot. VAR penalty. And it's like, that was never a penalty before. But because VAR now are dissecting everything, they're giving miniature little connection as penalties, and you can't.
Yeah, no, I agree. We saw it at the World Cup, didn't we? When there was a lot of decisions going, and like referees were always going over to the monitor, and it was like, oh my god, not again! Like it just detracts from the game. I think for football, it doesn't work, in my opinion, in terms of like the flow of the game and the atmosphere. For things like rugby, yeah, it does, but then it's a different game. It, for me, like it just ruins like the conversations afterwards as well. The conversation isn't about the game; it's now all about VAR. Like,
I think if they're going to pursue with VAR, they need to mic up the refs. They need to start letting the fans know what's happening, because that was the problem when it first came in. People didn't know what the hell was going on. They'd be sitting there like 2-3 minutes. What's happening? Yep. No announcement, no nothing. Just it says at the beginning, penalty check. Well, no, have the microphones mic'd up. If you don't want to do it for the live crowd because it can, generate, aggression or whatever, do it for the TV at least. Because otherwise, you're sitting there looking at a TV. You can the ones for me that are just beyond is like when you can clearly see it's offside. Yeah. When I'm all the way near China, but they're saying, "Oh, let's have a look," and they draw the lines. You don't need to draw the line. You can clearly see he's blatantly offside. Yep. I can see it from here. But you take 25 minutes drawing your little freaking lines and dots and crap. Oh, it infuriates me, mate.
Yeah, it's pointless, isn't it? Like, what one that gets me is that there's this thing, right, where, you could go up one end, you could score, say like it was a slight touch on someone in the other box, they do a counter-attack, they go up the other end and score. So VAR then reviews if there was a foul. So that goal could get chalked off, and then you could get a penalty against you, and then you could concede a goal.
Mate, I remember Portugal versus Switzerland. Switzerland were on the attack. Portuguese guy fouled the player, went down, no penalty given. Portugal broke up the other end, fouled. Ronaldo was fouled, penalty. Ronaldo standing about to take a penalty kick. Guess what happens? VAR, no, penalty down the other end. Ronaldo's like, what the fuck? It's brilliant. But Steve, that's good because it was a foul. It should have gone back. And that's what VAR needs to be used for, not these like stupid things. Like, how you can have someone else looking at it and come to the same decision as a mistake is beyond me. It's absolutely beyond me. I mean, you've only just got to look at some of the VAR decisions. It's just ridiculous. Absolute ridiculous.
Crazy. But, let's hope in the future that it will still be there. Let's be honest. It will never go, but hopefully they can improve it.
Yeah, well, hopefully, mate. Hopefully. It is what it is. You just want football to be good again, when you can celebrate and know that it's a goal. I mean, it's so annoying. I mean, it used to be bad when you'd score and then after about 20 minutes, the flag would go up. Oh, it's offside.
Yeah.
But the thing that annoys me, right, as we were talking about these little crappy fouls they give, like barely touch the boot or whatever. It's like, what about when, I remember when Newcastle and West Ham played, we got it back to 2-2 with 10 men. Newcastle whipping the cross, Richie rips it in. Wilson pushes Ogbonna in the back. Literally, you see his hands, push Ogbonna in the back. He can't then get straight to Ed. He might have got a flick on it off his little bald head. He might have got a flick on it, which took it away from Willock, and he wouldn't have scored the third goal. But they didn't even check it. They didn't even check that it was a foul. I could see, biased or not, that if your hands are like that and they're extended into the player's back, so they're pushing out, that's a push. That's a foul. They didn't give it. But then you see these little idiotic things given, and it just annoys me. Like Bruno goes in and the defender blows on him and he falls. Oh, penalty! It is what it is, mate. It is what it is.
What it is.
Yeah, well, it's been good talking to you again, Bill. I'm glad that we got to do this again. And I hope everyone's been listening and watching. If you're watching on YouTube and enjoying the content, because we're enjoying making it, aren't we, Bill?
For sure, definitely.
Yeah. So let's see what's going to happen this weekend. I'm hoping that it's a good weekend for the Hammers, a bad weekend for the Spurs. Let's just hope that West Ham win, Spurs don't, and we can finish above Tottenham. Because if we finish above Tottenham, we've got European football. That's the worst scenario for me. We finish 8th, Tottenham finished 7th, Everton finished 6th, and whatever. I'll just be dying inside. I won't be able to handle it. But yeah, guys, please follow us on the socials. You should know them all by now. Festival of Football. And if you do like what you're listening to, please share us around. Hopefully, you can give us to your football friends and generate conversations between yourselves and conflict. I mean, if we say anything about your clubs, don't take it personally. It's just an opinion, just an opinion. You can say whatever you want about West Ham. Don't bother me. Just don't get personal. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, have your opinion about the club and the team, but yeah, when you're being personal or you're putting stereotypical abuse out there, it's pointless, isn't it?
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's just ridiculous. But hey, hate is going to hate, mate.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, then. Well, until the next one, it's a goodbye from me. It's a goodbye from Billy. And we'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
You've been listening to the Festival of Football podcast, presented by Henry Berrett and Billy Harvey. We'll see you on the next one.